On this week's GTA 5 O'Clock, the development of GTA 5 dissected, character changes detailed, proof of how Rockstar share tech, and the all-important list of platforms. It's all here on this week's GTA 5 O'Clock. Hello and welcome to episode 59 of GTA 5 O'Clock. I'm your host James Jarvis, and joining me as ever is GTA expert Dan Dawkins.
Hello there.
Hello Dan. Right then, today we've got the bug log special. Dan has got 150 pages in front of them. He's going to go through it and pull out all the interesting facts. And then at the end of the video, we've got some 1080p screens that we're going to look at and see if they're real or fake, and some stuff about the iFruit app. But the main thing at the top of the show, Dan, is this bug list report that you have been going through.
Yeah, what is the GTA 5 leaked bug log? Well, you might have read about it on the weekend. I brought the story to PC Gamer's attention, who popularised the story. It's subsequently been repeated by Destructoid, Kotaku, all the big sites have followed it up. The amazing thing is, whilst I'd love to say it's my story, and it is in terms of the analysis and the popularisation, the actual bug log leaked as early as September the 23rd last year. Now, it was reported by a number of websites, but I guess not the mainstream sites who do that thing of essentially seeing what the other mainstream sites are doing and then doing the same because they feel like they're missing a trick. So this is what's happened with the Amazon listing today, where that was actually people that contacted me on email last week to say GTA 5 on PC has been listed on the German Amazon. So I checked it out. I translated it as well from German to English and kind of discounted it because it just felt like maybe a catalogue listing. It wasn't that much proof. There was nothing in the text that suggested any changes in the PC version. It was purely like a stock pasting of a thing, which you may think is insignificant, maybe not. What I think is far more significant and far more interesting is this leaked bug log, which is 150 pages of A4 long. It's an exhaustive list of every sort of build change Rockstar made during the development of GTA 5 from 2009 to 2013. It contains references to the PC version on explicit and numerous occasions. It talks about a last gen mode, it talks about different lighting effects, it talks about different graphics technologies pertaining possibly to next gen. It's absolutely ram-jammed. I think it's like a sizzling story.
Yeah.
It has been talked about previously, but I don't think ever in this context or depth.
And I think the way that it came about, you say it came out on September the 23rd, which is just after the game came out. Now, obviously, all of the big sites are busy covering the game's launch and all the stories, that the Easter eggs, and has anyone finished it yet? That kind of thing. So, interesting that it came out just after the game launched. And also, we've seen listings of GTA 5 on PC on Amazon France now as well, I think, which are notorious for putting up listings when they shouldn't really. So all signs are pointing towards GTA coming soon for PC. But let's go through this build log, Dan. So when is the first date when things get really interesting?
Well, the build log starts, like the very first entry in the build log, and you can see this on screen, the kind of terminology it uses, because it's a little bit like an alien language. The first build entry is on the 20th of April 2009, and it's described as the base version added upon creation of project. So this would be the first working build of GTA on any machine anywhere in the world would have been on this date in April 2009. Now, the bug log essentially goes on with interminable streams of data entries with stuff that sort of means nothing to any of us outside of Rockstar, certainly not someone in development. It goes on and on and on until the 26th of November 2010. So that's almost like a year after the initial development entry. And it says, notes, multiplayer loads in OK. So as early as November 2011, which is like almost November 2010.
2010.
So almost 3 years before the release of GTA 5, Rockstar were testing a version of multiplayer. It's not referred to as GTA Online, it's referred to as multiplayer loads in OK. So, I mean, I think it shows that from the outset they always wanted to do multiplayer, and it's the first thing they mentioned even before things in single player. So it was clearly a big focus, a big testing drive all the way through. Now, I'm going to skip huge reams of it because a lot of it is just sort of interior game logic. One thing worth noting is that the bug log is often referred to as Bugstar. It sounds like that's Rockstar's proprietary debugging system internally, I'm guessing. And what is interesting is we ran this log through, in fact CVG ran this log through a external development source. I can't reveal who they are because I actually don't know who they are, it was just related to me, who could confirm this was definitely a legitimate piece of logging. And it's a piece of logging.
It's not someone filling in a spreadsheet, you mean?
No, exactly. It's not a fake. And PC Gamer, when I gave the story to PC Gamer, it says it contains annotations from Rockstar developers like programmer Robert Schmitz and senior level designer Kenneth Ross. I'm having a terrible time with my voice today. Kenneth Ross. It's the excitement of the bug log.
I know.
So yeah, it's 100% legit. So we're going to keep pulling out interesting bits. Okay, so I'm streaming through the sheets, which I also brilliantly sprayed with coffee.
Dan said quite the morning.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we did mention the bug log in last week's show, but for those of you who are listening to this week's show, this is going to be a proper in-depth analysis of it. It's going to bring out some brand new things that we've never talked about before and give you a really good sense of how the game has developed over the years and what kind of stuff was added in and what kind of stuff was changed along the way.
So the 28th of April 2011, references to Rage, which would be Rockstar's proprietary Rage game engine. It's been used in all this sort of like, well, I say current gen, this sort of last gen games to date. It was driving the physics, it was their proprietary thing. It's clearly being used in GTA 5, that's proven. Then on that date they also mentioned for the first time, and this is an entry in the log, now includes RDR style aim control options.
It's Red Dead Redemption.
So Red Dead Redemption, so you think about 2011, like when did Red Dead come out? Very similar timescale, wouldn't it? So I'm thinking again, this proves how Rockstar, as you can tell if you're a student of their games, they share tech between divisions and within the company, and they'll go, well, hey, this was a great shooting mechanic used in this game, let's bring it into this other game and make it better by sharing tech. It's explicit proof they were doing that. It also references the script, so the script was being talked about then. It's mentioned to a bank release, which is throughout, whether that's actually a bank thing or some internal reference, I don't know.
It's interesting that as you were going through it, you say internally that it's called the Bugstar development bug list, and obviously we've got Bugstar in the game that Michael Trevor Franklin used the van, who are they are like a bug team, aren't they? They go in and spray
exactly.
The bank. It's
that is in no way like an accident. I think Rockstar being Rockstar, that would be a nice little in joke and this is the sort of thing you do when you're working in a team of literally hundreds on a project for 5 years. You need to have the odd laugh.
Yeah, you need a bit of light relief.
Yeah, and so probably, after 2 years of working in Bugstar, someone went, hey, I've made it the jerseys of the Rent-A-Kill outfit, and everyone laughed and probably went, that's really great.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong.
I'd imagine that would be the kind of thing they do.
Yeah, so that would make sense. Now, again, I say it makes reference to, this is in May 2011, so the PS3 beta and bank release currently do not load on test kits. So they were testing it on PS3 test kits. It's back as then. Now, this is very significant. On June 2011, for the first time it says, includes new Michael character model.
Huh?
So it shows, again, as far back as then, Michael was definitely going to always be in there. Whether it was around about the time they went, Ned Luke signed, we've got him, we've done the mocap, release the generic texture model, and introduce Ned Luke. But yeah, that could be the moment that flipped.
And interesting that even that far back he's called Michael. So there's never any names in, like characters name changing or anything like that along the way. Well, especially not with Michael anyway.
Yeah, no, it said that the intent clearly seems to have been for a multi-character tale, and in fact as we move on to the next significant entry, and that is the June 2011, and it says Franklin has no hair. So yeah, something had gone wrong with the Franklin model. He had no hair, and then just 2 days later, or in fact it's on the 13th of June 2011, it says notes includes new Franklin model.
Right, so he's got hair now.
Yeah, so it sounds like they've got the Franklin body right. So is it Sean Fontano? So they got him in. Sounds like that's all good. There's a reference on the 14th of June 2011. I thought this was interesting. It says, this is the base build for Sam's PT build. Please grab and test your missions areas. Now, Sam, I'm guessing, is Sam Hauser. So it sounds like they're making internal notes to go, Sam is taking this version away. Whether it's PT for playtest,
I would have thought it'd be playtest.
So it could be like, that was the point in the project where Sam took it away,
had a
good go, and he went, right, we're going to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, I like this bit. Don't like Franklin's hair. That needs changing.
Yeah, buckle in. Now, we fast forward to July 2011. Some more gameplay mentions, and this one includes a new scale form remote sniper HUD. So we're making changes to the sniping model and the heads-up display you would see. And it talked about things like known issues. It says issues with melee combat lock-on seen with Franklin and Trevor. It says this can be worked around by spawning a weapon set with W and selecting the melee again. Now, again, I'm thinking if it says spawning it with W, that sounds like a keyboard shortcut. Again, talking about, to me, PC development.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think, even PS3, Xbox 360 and PS4, Xbox One stuff will be developed on PC.
Yes.
Anyway, so it's not a clear indication that it's being, explicitly developed for PC.
This is the crux of it, and this is where I debated it with a colleague quite recently. As it could be said that this, even though the buglog contains 170 references to the word PC, uses the word PC version, mention of DX11 and X64 programming, you could say, but it doesn't, explicitly prove there's a retail version of PC GTA 5. I mean, my response is really does it not prove that? Because what is unequivocal is the game in its entirety has existed on PC at some stage and was a core component of development, so it seems pretty unusual to expect that to have been a thing they did purely to lead off the PS3 and 360 versions. Just find it fairly spectacular that would have been the case.
Yeah.
Particularly given, insurmountable, complementary evidence, historical precedent, actual common sense. All those many things we've talked about so many times. I just think this is for me, this is the piece in the jigsaw. Anyway, sorry, it says, this is in July 2011. It says issues with melee combat, pressing W. So yeah, they were clearly talking about it then. They were talking about PS3 beta again at the same time. Now, moving on to July 2011, it finally says includes new look Trevor model. So whether Stephen Ogg came along a little bit longer, or they were still deciding his role or how he walked.
So it went Michael, Franklin, Trevor in the same way that they revealed the trailers. That's the same order, isn't it? Michael, Franklin, Trevor.
I think Michael. And if you look at the very first trailer for GTA 5 that was released with, why did I move here? I guess it was the weather. And the only character you see as confirmed is Michael.
Yeah.
Now, whether they were deliberately holding back on the other two, or in their mind it was still a little bit unsure about the structure, we don't know. But certainly, Michael was always going to be the lead guy. And in a lot of respects, he does kind of feel like the lead driver of the game. Now, also in July, it talks about, it says Dead Man Walking playthrough OK on beta and bank release. Now, again, that sounds like a reference to a mission.
Yeah, there must be I can't remember offhand if there's a mission called Dead Man Walking.
Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the comments. But there's definitely references to missions. So clearly, again, in that stage, they've mapped a lot of the mission structure. And I'm skipping so many sheets here. Okay, now going back to the 19th of July, it says things like included pedestrian stubble shaders. So I'm guessing they were like, what is that? Is that a reference for some programming term, or literally the beardosity of pedestrians? And it says includes some high texture detail for pedestrians and player models. So again, it's showing that the build was increasing.
Yeah, and how things would load in, I guess, from a low res, way off in the distance texture to high res when you're standing next to an NPC who's walking down the street.
Yeah, absolutely. So okay, skip. James is exasperated because I've got 7 million pages.
I mean, it's a big log to go through. Luckily, you haven't highlighted all the pages, so that's good.
Yeah, now, August 2011, reference to, it says, known issues, crash on prologue mission. So again, prologue.
That's a big issue, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can't have your game crashing on the prologue.
Yeah, and clearly was always meant to start in that way in North Yankton.
Yeah, that was a thing from the outset, which we discussed on the show years ago, that they'd have to start with a big bombastic way to get you in, get you used to player switching and all of that. So obviously it's way early in development that was decided.
Now, what's interesting is in, again, late August 2011, there's a reference to it. It says, Auto PT gets stuck after completion of Family 1, Father/Son. Now, throughout the bug log, there's references to a thread of missions called Father/Son. So I think, again, they clearly isolated threads of gameplay or mission structures under these broad, generic headlines.
Yeah.
And Father/Son, obviously would be, we're going to tell a story about a man and his child.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we want to achieve with this game.
And there is a mission in the game called Father/Son.
Well, there we are. So it's quite literal. And it goes to it says Family 2, Family 3.
Right.
So there was a set of family-based missions always going to be part of it.
Interesting that it was an auto PT, which we're assuming is going to stand for playtest, like something that they could just let it run, like play itself essentially, and see if there are any issues of it while it's doing that.
Yeah, well, I know limited amounts about bug testing and development, but I think that sounds quite plausible, and otherwise manually, like I'm doing it now with my hands to test things, is quite slow. Now, going to the September 2011, there's reference to, it says, includes updated game PSN release. So again, whether that's a reference to something to do with PS3 as early as that, I thought that was quite interesting. October 2011, reference to FBI crash shooting sniper through window. Now that sounds like the mission they first demoed to Game Informer.
Yeah.
Interesting that in Buglog reference they refer to it as FBI, not FIB. So I guess that's just no one's going to see this, we can say what we want. Going then to October 2011, there's a reference to yoga instructions only display when the directions they describe are held. So again, minigames like yoga, that was part of the script. That was always in there. This is interesting. Throughout the entire bug log, it seems as if, reading the subcurrent, they had some more issues with the 360 version than the PS3 version in relation to performance. Obviously, you see the games at the end of the tunnel, and you really wouldn't know there was any difference. But anecdotally, when we'd been to see GTA 5 on a number of occasions, we were always demoed it on PS3. And you can see in the bug log here in November 2011, it says known issues, Xbox lighting stroke render issues, recommended you don't grab the 360 unless you really have to.
Wow, so even that far back they were recommending that PlayStation was the way forward. I mean, traditionally, I think Rockstar have always, not led on PS3, but have always sort of developed on PS3 and then it's been on Xbox as well, like rather than some people who would lead develop on Xbox and then port it across to PS3. I think Rockstar have always tried to do them both alongside each other at the same time, but I mean, have you seen
going
any other games?
Going back to ye olden days of like ping pong, I think then they obviously led on 360 because that was what that was built on, but there was a switching point 2 or 3 years into the sort of PS3 360's life where it felt like I was seeing more games running on PS3 from Rockstar than I was 360. It's only anecdotal, I don't want to read too much into that, but through this log, and there are obviously reports of PS3 crashes as well, just it seems like some of the 360 ones do come up more often. It's also the same in, again, 17th of November 2011. It says 360 crash using -last gen resolved. Now that's interesting because it's the first reference to a thing that recurs throughout the document called last gen mode. What could that mean? Last gen mode?
Well, yeah, I mean, if they're talking about references to what at that time especially was current gen systems like PS3 and Xbox, you're thinking 2 years ago wasn't really a mention of the new PS4 or Xbox One. So I don't know. I don't know what that could mean.
For there to be a last gen, there has to be a next gen or a current gen.
Yeah.
That's the thing that confuses me. So it just feels like, and this has often been speculated, particularly when you look at the quality of some of the trailers and assets released during the campaign. Well, a lot of people speculated these simply look too good for PS3 or 360. It was really hard to definitively say yay or nay because they are trailers. They are maybe compressed in a certain way. They grab from cutscenes, and cutscenes always look better than in game. But there's always this sort of belief that they come from a different place, like a PC debugging machine.
Yeah,
it's possible, that's where they did come from. And again, it references. This is again in late November in 2011. It says a crash occurs during the second part of the yoga minigame during the mission Family 5. Did somebody say yoga? So again, it's building out that entire family set. Again, it's another thread it builds out, and this is going back to the very end of November. It says a crash occurred after launching the mission Car Steal Number 4. So before, we all know
strong title.
Car theft, but that's originally how it began. There's also a reference in that month to a port heist setup. Mission does not progress after picking up a crate. So again, heist built up.
That'll be the one down the docks then, I'd imagine, when you're going and scouting for the sub. That's when you go and get the sub in that one.
Now it feels like, again, in the 30th of November, there's references to, I think, multiplayer modes, where it talks about mission fails if player tries to rejoin an instance of Coke Grab, as in capitals Coke Grab.
Right.
They were previously arrested on. And throughout the bug log, there are references to multiplayer mode style bugs. Okay, we're getting soon to the good stuff, and it says again, this is December 2011. It says multiplayer character options persist in a game if a player swaps teams on the death screen. So again, references to multiplayer. This is pretty astonishing. We see the game now, it's slick, it runs really great, it looks fantastic. In December 2011 it says FPS averages around 9 to 10 FPS in the latest pre-build. So the game was running at 9 to 10 frames a second.
Yeah.
And I guess games do fluctuate as they add new things to them. But yeah, that was a crushingly slow rate to play at.
Imagine if people would have gone nuts if they had seen anything like that. I mean, it's pretty solid 30 now, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And again, this is the 15th of December 2011. Reference to it says, hold up tutorial ends as the player approaches the designated store. Now that sounds like the hold up tutorial in online. So when Tim and I went to see that and thought it was new and exciting last August, it was in fact 2 years old. Amazing. So Rockstar did a good job of feigning excitement for us. Reference again in late December 2011. It says, crash when following Lamar across the raised roads in Armenian 1.
So that's when you're going, probably when it's the Franklin and Lamar mission, when you first go and meet Simeon.
Yes.
And that's the first time you meet him, so that would obviously be called number 1.
Now, going back again to December, there's a reference where it goes, the game hangs on the loading screen after the cutscene where the chopper reaches the FIB building. So they've started referring to it properly internally. It says Family 5 can't be completed as the mission fails after the yoga section. Then a reference to what sounds like multiplayer when it says, if a cop uncuffs a crook off mission, the crook will still be teleported to the precinct due to the animation. And it says multiplayer character options persist in a game for player swaps teams on the death screen.
See, now that's interesting because that explicitly references a cops and crooks mode, which isn't in online yet. That's a mode that we just don't have, and arresting people and being taken to the precinct is something which I think people talked about that they wanted in the game, but it's not in there yet, and it's definitely something that could be in later on. And if they're testing it as far back as that, then surely it's in development still.
Exactly.
Unless they dropped it because it didn't work.
And was there, 2 years ago, which is amazing. So this is now the 1st of Jan 2012. It says, player entered ammunition at approx 10:30 or 22:30 while on the gun shop tutorial, but could not buy a pistol because the shop was closed.
Oh, timing issues.
So yeah, problems with internal clockery. Madness. This is February 2012. It says, all weapons were unavailable for purchase by Lost MC players, regardless of the player's rank.
Another reference to a gang that isn't in GTA Online. So maybe when it was first being developed, there was different, like instead of having crews, you could like join different gangs, like you'd be the police or the Lost MCs or some other kind of crews on there.
Another reference to cops and crooks. This is in Feb 2012. It says player model swaps from female to male when loading C and C. So yeah,
interesting that again back then they were still thinking the online customization, and you could choose, your sex if you're going to be a male or female, and probably a lot of other customization options as well.
Going to March 2012, it says crash following an assert when attempting to join a mission as a new Vargos character. Again, we talked about the role of the Vargos and the gangs, and this again harks back to previous shows. Rockstar were on the same line. Again, this is a long time before a lot has been talked about with the game. And then there's a reference in, again, March 2012. It says players' wanted rating and associated radius does not update when observed by a cop. So the wanted level system is similar to as we see it now. This is fascinating. On the 27th of March 2012, and it says ARM 2. Now, I don't know if this was like a reference to like the ARM chipset. It says Penumbra driver offset breaks mission progress. Now, I haven't got to the bits where it's explicitly referencing PC yet, but that is coming up. 4th of Feb 2012, it says, known issues, player can lob any ammunition as if it was a projectile using the new weapon wheel.
Okay.
So the weapon wheel was just introduced, and there is a reference to like weapon wheel system being
That'd be
introduced.
good as well, throwing ammunition at people.
In a desperate last-ditch attempt to make things work. We're up to May 2012, and this says notes include shader changes for the new trees.
Oh, a bit of new treeage going in a year and a half before the game comes out.
So a magnificent increase in foliage. Now in end of May, 31st of May 2012, it says 2 players became stuck on the COP partner tutorial.
So, I mean, this is really interesting to see how, I guess at that stage, a year and a half before the game came out, the vision of GTA Online was probably a lot different than what we're playing right now. It seems like the things they wanted to do was like massive, and obviously when it came to launching it, they had to cut a lot of those things back just to make it work as it does now. So hopefully, if all of these things had been developed and haven't been dropped along the way, we can expect to see massive changes to GTA Online within the next over the next year.
There's definitely big schools of thought, and you can see the level of change they made as they go along. When you look at this entry from the 3rd of July 2012, it says, important note, this includes a control change for weapon and character switch UI. The inputs for weapon and character selection have changed. They are as follows. Press left on the digital pad to display the weapon wheel. Press down on the digital pad to display the character select. When either of these are displayed, the right analog stick is used to select entries. For the weapon wheel, X and O are used to select weapons from the same slot. And it says, this will also be extended to the radio station select in due course. You will need to press the right on the digital pad to display the radio station select. So this is like, July 2012, a year and a bit before the release of the game. That's when that big fundamental lock-in went with the controls. Now, on the 5th of July 2012, there's huge references to areas of the script and missions. It says script, and underneath it says Michael 1, Solomon 4, Fix for Doc Setup, Trevor 2, Agency Heist 1, Agency Heist 2A, Nice House Heist 2A. Now that's interesting because we talked about an abandoned mission on a previous show where Michael and Trevor played gay lovers who were trying to perform a heist.
Yeah, a heist on a big mansion, probably up in like Rockford Hills area. Yeah, Michael and Trevor would go as a couple and meet these real estate people, be shown around a mansion, and then plan a heist around it, which as a mission title, Nice House would have probably worked really well.
Yeah, so you think that probably is what it was referring to, and it existed as of July 2012, but hey, never saw the light of day. Hey, let's see what single player DLC brings, but certainly we've not seen it yet. Mentions Chinese 1, Family 1, Rural Bank Heist, Finale Heist 2A, Finale Heist 2B, Agency Heist 3B, again referencing a degree of multiple choice and endings. It says Exile 1, fix for playtest issue involving switching to Trevor. Exile 3, compensate for slightly slower dinghy speed. Franklin D, fix button conflict caused by new weapon wheel. And then FBI 2, general fixer tidying up the script. So lots of references to lots of different missions there.
But missions, for the most part, which remained throughout development, you'd think from this log, apart from, it just seems to be the online stuff and a couple of probably single player missions that got dropped along the way, but the majority of them seem to be still there.
This is significant. The 25th of July 2012, there is a reference, an explicit reference to PC, where it's got square brackets and it says PC, all the phones are very dark and hard to read. And it also mentions in square brackets LB, PT, LDS, square brackets DX11, blooms too much on smog weather setting. That is significant because DX11 is DirectX 11. That is Microsoft's sort of exclusive software programming tool for creating optimal graphic effects. It's used like on PC and also is an exclusive version of it on Xbox One. So any PC game coded using DX11, I would imagine, I'm not a programming expert, but it's no great assumption to take this leap, would translate or port an awful lot easier to next-gen systems. And again, this is an assumptive leap on my part. Why would you develop using DX11? Because, you'd want it to be a portable thing you could take across to new systems.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, now the 14th of August 2012, further reference to DX11. It says crash inside grass plant renderer on DX11 only. Now, it's worth noticing that in reference to the previous smog effect, DX11 is really good at producing high-end volumetric filtering effects and such like. Smog would be the ultimate example of that. You might treat the smog level or the sort of weather settings differently on a higher-end console or PC. So again, that reference makes sense. Significant date, 30th of August 2012. It says control changes, and in capitals, read me. And it says weapon wheel activated by L1 LB button. The weapon wheel has been removed from vehicles, replaced with square to change weapons.
Which it still is.
Yeah, which it still is. And it says turning on vehicle headlights is now achieved by tapping the D-pad right.
Still in the game.
Yeah, and it says adjusting convertible roofs is now achieved by holding D-pad right.
Yep.
All special abilities have moved to R3, which is as it was. It says vehicle radios have moved to D-pad left. Looking back and slow-mo have been disabled.
Okay.
Zoom in has moved to L3.
It's interesting that the special abilities, it says, has moved to R3, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, or you could do it, Dan. In the final game, it's both sticks. It's L3 and R3.
Oh, well, quite possibly. Again, they might have changed it again.
It, yeah.
Apologies if I'm wrong. 31st of August 2012. Notes. In-vehicle control change. Hold L1 to aim, press R1 to fire. Hand braking is disabled when aiming. Includes multiple ColdScript data dependencies. Now, interesting that on the 3rd of September 2012, in the notes it says initial mag demo lockdown build.
So a year almost before the game comes out.
Yeah, and I think this is referenced to, and this starts to coalesce as the bug notes go through, by mag demo they meant the Game Informer demo.
Yeah.
They obviously had it in their mind to deliver a generic first look to somebody. Mm-hmm. As it so happened, it was Game Informer. That's often what happens. But that was how it was being referred to internally. And in fact, the notes intensify a lot around this period because they're clearly working really hard to make it work.
Yeah, to get that slice of the game working perfectly.
Now, this is interesting. It says the 5th of the 9th, 2012. This must be the Game Informer build, but it does say cannot progress past the FIB2 brackets mag demo cutscene inside the FIB building. Cutscene freezes halfway through brackets PC only.
No.
Now, does that raise questions about what Game Informer saw it on? I thought they said it was like a PS3 pad.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can, because of the way pads are configured, you can plug almost anything into a PC and configure it, especially with developers.
So it could be a PC kit but running with a PS3 pad.
Which is what you'd expect it to be if you were seeing a demo as early as a year before the game comes out. You wouldn't probably expect to play it on a test kit of that console. You'd expect to play it on a debug unit, which is more than likely a PC with a pad plugged into it for the controls.
Yeah, that wouldn't be alien. Now, the 12th of September 2012, it says player can't quit out of Race Creator tutorial. So editing tools, again for multiplayer, being worked on over a year before release. It also says, this is September 2012, players cannot spawn personal vehicles, bring up the mechanic menu in C and C. So again, I guess cops and crooks. Interesting that in the September 2012 it says Trevor's ability not yet active. Well, that was Trevor's special ability. It says includes wanted level change. You can use your wanted level by hiding brackets avoiding LOS to cops for a set period of time that varies per level. So we're still tweaking the wanted level like a year from release. And in fact, I've been to see Rockstar and they had hinted that maybe things were changing at that time.
I'd imagine that LOS as well would be line of sight.
Yeah. The line of sight police detection. So that clearly did change. 19th of September 2012, square brackets PC. Player is asked to be signed in on the PC when loading or saving games. This causes issues on PC as there is nothing to sign into yet.
Because obviously they wouldn't have had a network set up configured to handle PC stuff. Whereas on consoles you've got systems like PSN and Xbox Live that you can sign into. But
there's no agreed server set up or anything. Again, September 2012, Game becomes stuck when you take a photo on the PC version. PC version.
Yeah, that's quite explicit there.
There's a PC version, so again, I don't want to say too much more about that. 3rd of October 2012, Mag Demo Lockdown Build number 3. Trevor's ability still not active.
Oh, come on.
Come on, get working with Trevor. This is the 5th of October 2012, Mag Down Lockdown Build number 5. So they still weren't happy with it. It was still going and going.
It's still called Lockdown, like it's locked down, but it's not totally locked down.
But not quite. Now this is the 16th of October 2012, square brackets PC crash. When accessing last gen mode, the game crashes. Rage, GRC Texture Factory DX11 lock render target. All of your favourites are in there. Yeah. It's PC, it's last gen mode, it's DX11. How are those things interrelated? You do the maths.
Now, I'll tell you what would be interesting and something that could definitely be achieved on a speculated PC version is if you're playing it on PC, like a lot of games do nowadays, as part of the new package to go, hey look, you haven't got it on consoles, like they did with GTA 4, going, your new stuff is you get this video editor to make your own cool stuff with. On the PC version, by the looks of this would be, and references to the last gen mode, is that there is a button that you can press that will revert the graphics back to, say, San Andreas style graphics, which would be a last gen, like PS2 type thing. Everything would be a bit blocky and stuff. It's stuff they're doing with, like, Broken Age does that now. You can press it and it'll go back to those kind of 16-bit pixelated graphics, a bit of nostalgia look. It wouldn't surprise me if the PC version came with a sort of last gen mode that makes everything look a bit rubbish.
I mean, that's interesting. That could be a thing. My thinking was in this context that last gen mode was they were building the game. The lead format, I think, was PC, and they were building everything down from that. So they built it out to the highest sort of spec they thought was achievable, probably given what they thought next gen consoles was going to be, and then created like a last gen toggle within the PC game that reflected the PS3 and 360 game. So you had like two versions of GTA 5 that existed. One was the proper full-blown PC version. One was the PS3 360 versions. I haven't verified that. That's just my feeling. So again, I'm sorry if that's wrong. That's just my feeling.
Well, let's see when the PC version comes out if it's got a last gen button.
Exactly. 13th of November 2012. Stuck on black screen attempting to launch a Rockstar rally race. Storm Drain. Sounds like multiplayer.
Could be multiplayer. Could be one of the sort of random events that you come across, like some kind of rally race that you get in Los Santos.
Talks in 22nd of November 2012. Includes wanted level change, see attached, and it says something called Full Din Arch turned on as default now, which sounds kind of like a graphical effect or something like that. Now the 23rd of November, it says includes updated title IDs, new multiplayer transitions enabled, includes multiple script code data dependencies. So again, multiplayer being tweaked and tweaked.
And the multiplayer transition will be the jump out that we're all familiar with when it zooms out onto the satellite image, moves across the map. That's what they're talking about in terms of multiplayer transitions.
This is especially interesting. The 6th of December 2012. For the first time it says Dev Network multiplayer playthrough build candidate. So they got to a stage clearly where they thought multiplayer was stable to test, probably internally. And it says multiplayer playthrough build candidate number 2. So I think that was, before Tim and I saw it, which was like August or something, 2013. They were doing it then. And then it says in December, stunt jumps should be exactly the same in single player and multiplayer. Doing them in either should count towards any achievements, etc. So like to synchronise, doing something in single player, it should affect the other player. Also talks in, it's the 17th of December 2012, PC version again, crash. Game Win32 beta DX11, and talks about C++. So again, it's explicitly a PC-based thing.
Yeah, that's the Windows 32-bit system rather than a 64-bit that you use in the new versions of Windows, I would have thought. So it'd be Windows 7, things like that.
Well, that is fascinating because, again, the script makes references to X64, which is the 64-bit version of the x86 AMD chip. And that sounds like jargon. Basically, there's a 64-bit custom AMD chip in PlayStation 4. If you were making a game compatible with that on PC, it would also work with PS4, do the maths. Okay, it also references everything tinted yellow in last gen mode.
Oh, that's bad. So is it good? Depends.
I don't know, sounds like they made a grievous error there, but it seems to have turned everything quite bad. References to the Polito score. Okay, this is interesting. The 17th of Jan 2013, we're getting really close to release. Parents' heads are not displayed in the character creator. So they've made the choice to make it some ridiculous family-based gene creator at that stage.
Which is the same thing that you used to either have Nico or John Marston as your dad, that kind of system.
I referenced earlier the idea that Xbox is having more problems. This is on the 25th of June 2013. It says, stability : memory stomping is affecting Xbox 360 stability. Plus, multiplayer has a major bug on Xbox 360 also. PS3 works better. Interesting reference in May 2013 where it says, the Diamond Hard achievement gets unlocked and the flow progresses as expected on loading the autosave. What's the Diamond Hard achievement? Is that linked to like the Diamond Heist, maybe?
Possibly. We'd have to check the achievements list to go through that properly, but it seems like they're obviously naming them and getting them in and checking that they're all working now, which is still 8 months before the game's out in January.
Yeah, and this is now we're coming up to May now, and it talks about the Maibatsu factory steel. It says 4 players launched LSIA Titan Steel from the apartment Corona. So this is talking explicitly about the build that Tim and I saw last year, and we reported to you as exclusive, and at one stage it existed as a really quite boring bug log. This is great. This is May 2013. It says, DLC. The full beard reward you get for joining Social Club cannot be chosen if you have the slicker hairstyle.
So you're going to get the first bit of DLC is going to be beards.
Yep, full beards.
Full beard support.
So is that my revelation? Beard DLC. Well, they talked about microtransactions. Could it be appearance stuff? It's that trivial. Maybe that's why the appearance things are so rubbish, because they want you to have
buy extra beards.
Yeah, to buy extra beards. Talking again in June 2013, it says unable to access DLC store after race.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean DLC obviously in everyone's mind means new missions and stuff, but DLC is like it's literally downloadable content, and this downloadable content could be free. It could be new beards that they're just pulling in afterwards. It's still downloadable content. It's just you're not paying for it.
Yeah, exactly. Now we talked about X64 appearing in here. Yes, it appears here. It's interesting when it does appear. This is the 13th of July 2013, right? And it references no X64 pre-build support, right? Where is that in the context of history? Well, by July last year, we were by this stage pretty familiar with what the PlayStation 4 was and its chipset. And as I just said, its chipset is a 64-bit version of the x86 AMD core processor. That's easy for me to say. So could it be by this stage Rockstar had established they knew then what PS4 was going to be? Let's build it to those specs.
Yeah, very, very possibly that's
it's happening. Speculation. You can say obviously what you think. This will be of particular interest to people. 27th of July 2013. It says in the playtest build, accepted an invite from GTA Online for a heist and ended up in session rather than on the heist. So they were testing online heists in July last year, and we are still waiting.
We are still waiting, yeah. But obviously, July is pretty close to release, and if they can't get the heists built into it by July, you've only got 2 months till the game's out. Now, whether the idea behind GTA Online coming out 2 weeks after was always a thing, I don't know, but you'd think that if it can't be worked up to push people into the right game modes 2 months before it's out, then you'd start having questions internally about, shall we delay it? Shall we push online back a bit until we can get this kind of thing fixed?
Yeah, and that's what they did. They did push it back, by quite a bit of time now. It's so close to release, the 9th of August 2013, less than a month to release. There's something reference to something that says, after arriving at Rob's bar, Otis doesn't get out and you were stuck with no player control.
No, I don't know who Rob or Otis is, I don't think.
No, I feel like I don't know them either. People, please correct us. But is that a reference to... given that that's that late in development, they either got dropped, didn't appear, or my memory is bad, or it's for something we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, or it's that so close to release, you'd think the main game would be finished, and this would be when they'd start thinking about, if they haven't already, about DLC and the next wave of content.
Yeah, and in this time they're still talking about X64 even more. Then, this is the 11th of August 2013. GTA Online is locked on the dev builds now. It says the final submission updates only. The game's clearly all going through. It does reference, it says something in square brackets called emulated build. Now, whether this is like, and what would you emulate? Well, usually emulations are like PCs running versions of old school games. Now, is this a PC running an emulated version of the current gen game?
Could be.
Or something else. I don't know. There's more to say. Sorry, that was quite granular. There is some interesting stuff there for the hardcore GTA file. You need to seek out the bug log yourself. I think it is available online if it hasn't been whipped away.
Yeah.
I found it through GTA forums. It initially emerged last September the 23rd. It's been hosted on Google Drive. Some was removed, but the original XML is still available. Whew.
Okay, quickly before you go down, that was a great rundown of the bugs list. As you mentioned GTA forums, we might as well start there. A couple of days ago there was a poster from someone conspicuously named Soon TM, who posted a 1080p screenshot from supposedly GTA 5, and he says in the post, not long now to wait, guys, it is coming, don't worry about it. A lot of people commented on it. All the other screens that have been released into the build-up of GTA 5 were 720 because they were supposedly captured off console versions. However, this 1080p screenshot is, I'm going to say, 95% fake. The guys have, obviously on GTA forums, have picked it apart. They think it's an upscaled version of a 720 shot, which has then been put into Photoshop and tweaked slightly.
Yeah.
If you look at one of the photo sites, you can see this image alongside a load of other GTA images that have all been slightly tweaked using Photoshop. And this image is actually updated to that site at the time of recording about 6 to 8 hours ago. So it looks like it's just someone who has manipulated an existing screenshot or taken a screenshot from a console build, made it look like a PC one, because of all the speculation, I imagine, around the PC release.
Everyone's looking to be a hero and cash in on what's an emerging trend for GTA 5 on PC or next gen. Like you say, I think the screen's fake, but we all believe it because it is a good looking screen and we all think it's coming to PC.
One other thing is Gaming Blend have reported previously in the past that there are PC icons in the iFruit app version. It's the thing you can download to train Chop and get him extra collars on iOS and Android. If you go into that file that you download, there are PC icons which explicitly say like Xbox Garage, PS3 Garage, PC Garage. Those icons aren't active yet, but they are still in the code, which leads people to believe, yes, a PC version is in development, which backs up your bug log stuff.
Yeah, that information I tied to the bug log in an article that we haven't been able to get on CVG, but I hope to be able to release somehow. You can follow at GTA V o'clock and there'll be a link, or you can follow me on at Dan Dawkins and I'll put it on a blog somewhere. I just want to share it because there's information spinning out of that sort of suggests evidence to say that PC was in fact the lead platform, and it's all based on to do with the way there's memory allocation tables for assets within those directory files for the iFruit app, and they've got different memory size app proportions, which is similar to how the PC version dealt with the different assets for Max Payne on PS3, PC, and so there's an obvious thread there.
A big heritage there.
Yeah.
Okay, and finally, this is a little treat. It's GTA 5 running on a PC, but actually don't get too excited because it's GTA 4, which has now been modded quite extensively to look a bit like GTA 5. They've managed to get the Life Invader building in there. Obviously the models aren't as good as you'd expect them to be because it's running on the GTA 4 engine, which is old. Obviously the GTA 5 one has been tweaked quite extensively, so the car physics are still from GTA 4, and you don't get the little effects like weather and things like that, and all the handling and stuff. But it's
a bit of a Duplo to the Lego version of
exactly
GTA 5.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it. It's been quite a long episode this week, so thanks for sticking with us. Please don't forget to follow at GTA 5 o'clock. Go and like the page on Facebook, facebook.com/GTA 5. And
GTA 5 o'clock.
GTA 5 o'clock. Yeah, not GTA 5. That's not ours.
Yeah.
And join us on Friday, Dan, for the live stream.
Yeah, fantastic. Hope to see you then. But yeah, thanks for following with us, and let us know what you think in the comments.
Hi guys, this is James from GTA 5 O'Clock.
And I'm Dan.
And we've just finished recording this week's episode. So if you liked it, what should they do, Dan?
You should press the like button and then the subscribe button for more great GTA 5 content every single week.
Excellent. So hit those buttons and we'll see you next week.